So the next thing I need to do is I need to assemble the shutoff shaft and throttle shaft assemblies. So the next things that need to go in are this device here, which they're calling the throttle shaft lever, and then this device right here, which they're calling the shutoff cam, which I have a new one, because this not only does this act as the cam, but this also acts as the clip, the retaining clip that keeps the two halves together of the shutoff shaft and the throttle shaft, which I've got to put all that together too. So starters, I think what I'll do is I'll prep my shaft ends here. So this one, I'm going to clean it up some more, and I can see that this one has a plastic, almost like a bushing or shim on here. I think it might be two of them, and there's an O-ring right in there. So you can see there's the plastic shims, and they don't come off until the O-ring's removed. So the first order of business is going to be removing that O-ring. Okay, so this is the throttle lever side. This goes on the outside here. I remember that because I remember the shutoff cable was down on the back side here and was hard to get off without taking the pump off first. So I just removed the O-ring, and not one, but there were two of these plastic little spacer deals here. So I'm going to find those in my kit. Okay, so I run into a little bit of a problem. There were two of these little plastic spacer or washers here on this throttle shaft, and the problem is that in the kit I only found two new ones. So if I put these two new ones on here, then the problem is I won't have any to replace the one that I see here on the shutoff lever. Well, actually there's two on there. There's two on that also. Huh. So I'm wondering what's going on there. I'd be willing to bet there's only supposed to be one on each one of these, and that they didn't remove the old one when they put the new one on last time they had this pump apart. So that's my guess. I'm going to check the parts diagram and see if it shows one or two washers. Alright, the parts diagram that I have only shows one seal O-ring on each shaft and one washer felt on each shaft. So I think the original washers were felt and they were replaced by these plastic ones. So I feel confident that it would be okay to have just one of these plastic washers on each one of these shafts. And then I've got this O-ring I found in the kit. Looks like a perfect match size-wise for the old O-ring, so I'm going to put that on now. Okay, so now I have the new O-ring, seal, and washer on the throttle shaft. Now this throttle lever has to go in with basically kind of like this. So you can see that little protrusion in there. That's going to slide along and engage this groove right here, which is going to be sort of facing rearward towards that way. And these two little feet protrusions right here, they end up actually sitting and riding on this guide at the back of the governor spring. So now what I want to do before I try and insert this shaft is I want to actually lightly grease that O-ring. Now with the O-ring lightly greased, partially insert this, and then I'm going to grab my shaft lever, guide that in. Okay. That's right where we want that, and now I want to fully seat that O-ring. There we go. So you see it's fully seated in now. And now we've got our throttle working the way it should. Okay. So far so good. So now I want to prep the shutoff lever side by removing the old O-ring seal and plastic washer on here and replacing them with the new ones. Alright, so now I've got the new O-ring and plastic washer on the shutoff lever assembly, and I'm ready to install that. So that's just going to go, slides in through the back side here, and with this lever, there's really only one way this can go in because it's going to slide. It's kind of hard to explain, but I'm going to slide it in. So I've got this lever up, this lever almost all the way down. There's a stop there, and I'm going to pop that in while wiggling it so that the O-ring seats. There we go. Okay, and then what ends up happening is when I rotate this lever up, there's a position where I should be able to insert that stop. What I meant to say was a shut-off cam. This little clip right here, they call this the shut-off cam. The reason why it's called the shut-off cam is because what happens is after I clip this in, the clip portion actually keeps these two shafts captive to each other. But what it also does is when I activate the shut-off, fuel shut-off, what will happen is this will rotate over, and this leg part right here will actually hit this part right here and shut off the fuel. So you can imagine the cable on this side, when I pull that shut off out, the cable is going to pull this lever up. That's going to kick this up and cause it to hit this and shut off the fuel. So this is the old one. I'm going to discard that, and we're going to install a brand new one. And I'm going to discard my other plastic washers and O-ring. That all goes in the discard pile. And here's my shut-off cam, which the disassembly instructions actually said to discard this during disassembly, so they obviously want this to be replaced during a rebuild or re-seal of this pump, depending on what you want to call this. Okay, so there it is. And I'm just going to take a second to compare it to the original one just to make sure I've got the right thing. And it sure looks good. Alright. And so now, should be able to get this to just click in. Take a little more force than I thought. Just double check this, make sure I got this lined up correctly. It looks pretty good. I actually backed it out just a tiny bit. Alright, let's see if we just pop that in with needle nose pliers maybe. Let me grab a pair. Actually, I think these lineman's pliers might even be better for this job. No, not going to be able to get underneath there. I need needle nose. Okay, actually these slip joint pliers were perfect size to get in there, and so I just kind of reached in underneath there like that, popped it down. So now, okay, these two levers are now not allowed to pull out, and see the throttle lever is still working the way it should, and when I actuate the shutoff lever, see it closes that metering valve up. That's pretty much it for this section.